get on board with the show then. First up on this edition, we have the management of WhiteHat Jr. joining us to talk to us about their way forward, plans for the coming year, and much more that we have to talk about their business model as well. Thanks, Karan, for joining us here on this edition of Startup Central. You know, you're being one of the biggest newsmakers of 2020. Look at the kind of exit that you had. It's a dream exit, and exit that, you know, perhaps only a very mature market would perhaps see. And a year into it, look what has happened with Byju's looking back. What do you think of it?
I think any success of WhiteHat Jr. is like I would say the success of the very unique Indian demographic advantage. So to explain a little bit more, the holy grail of EdTech overall was that every kid would have individualized learning, individualized outcomes because they're all unique and special. I think we were able to make that happen with a very distinct model where there was one teacher with one student that were connected by technology, right? And that was possible because we had this supremely qualified, educated women force of India who in some form or the other had decided not to participate in the workforce because after having kids, they wanted to have enough time for childcare as they would have for working, or they were not traveling for safety in big cities. And we were able to kind of really tap that, that I would say, force of women. And they became individualized teachers for individual students, right? And the kids absolutely loved that experience, that delight of one-on-one coaching and the delight of being able to create very powerful learning outcomes because of that one-on-one model. So we were just able to scale that because of the very unique advantage of this, like I would say, the special, high-quality, educated women who were not participating in the workforce that we were able to tap. So I would say the success of the teachers is the success of WhiteHat Jr. So I feel like good about the impact of that, right? They're about in the last 18 months since WhiteHat Jr. was formed, there have been 11,000 teachers who've come onto the platform who are working on the platform full time now. So that's and more than 150,000 students are actively a part of the platform. So I think it's good to see that.
All right. You have about 11,000 teachers now in the last 18 months. But tell me, how has the entire EdTech universe played out in the last few months, especially for a very obvious reason of lockdown, which I don't think we really need to get into the other developments as well of 2020. But if you want to give us an idea of how much WhiteHat Jr. has grown in the past 1 year, if you could give us a glimpse of how things have panned out over the last 1 year.
WhiteHat Jr., since so it started in November 2018 and the first version of the product was out in June 2019. If I look at the period between June 2019 and October 2020, the quarterly growth rate would have been about 150% quarter on quarter. This pre the pandemic, it would have been about 100% on a quarter to quarter basis. Post the pandemic, it went up, but overall, I would say the quarterly growth rate was about 150% right from the start of scaling the product.
We're going into 2021 with a lot of optimism, a lot of hope. Yes, we have issues of the UK mutation, but there's also hope, a lot of optimism thanks to vaccine-related developments as well. Talk to us about what is it going to mean for EdTech the year to come, how the way things are changing so rapidly.
Yes. Yeah, I would say in the pandemic, I think everybody sampled EdTech. The power of everybody, a large number of people sampling EdTech, people who came into platforms like ours saw this new model where a teacher can be connected with one student, have a wonderful learning experience. I think the sampling of that has led to, I would say, very rapid adoption. And through 2021, that adoption will continue at a very accelerated pace, right? I think we got a lot of sampling in this period for almost everybody in EdTech. So for WhiteHat Jr. in particular, that means that what we learned was that the kind of the unique ingredient of the WhiteHat Jr. model was that for I would say, a rare time in EdTech, kids actually loved the product, right? So that typically it's not a parent push product that learned this in order to be successful. It was a kid pulled product because they were building and creating things with coding in each class. And what we are kind of now reflecting is that if we have built this very creative curriculum, can we replicate that in other categories like math, for example, where kids get anxious about maths very quickly. But if we use maths as a building block of building things, and would they fall in love with maths? So we're just launching the maths curriculum. So we are kind of preparing ourselves for a future in which people have sample edtech and now would take multiple subjects in this format. So we are going to go into maths and then other subjects. And then, as you rightly said, I would say hybrid would become very interesting. We have a lot of demand from schools wanting to adopt the coding curriculum into schools. And I think it's a wonderful model is emerging where we are learning a lot about how to make a curriculum happen through the online model directly connected to the consumer, then taking that and being able to give it to schools to be able to deliver it offline. So I think like a very good amalgamation of both online and offline is emerging right now as we see it.
Before we get more deeper into the hybrid models and the future of edtech, I would like to ask you, now you're getting into math and you'll be looking at other subjects too. So if you could tell us if all of it will be falling under WhiteHat Jr. or some of it will become a part of Baiju as well.
Actually, no, I think since the time of the Baiju's acquisition, it's actually been an even, I would say, like a better journey for us in multiple ways. One is that actually the expertise that Baiju's has in subjects like maths and science is actually very useful for us, because very clearly what Baiju does very well is they do the asynchronous model of education well, right? Where they have a learning app with very, very engaging, interesting content that kids consume after school, and what we do very well is the synchronous model, where there's a live teacher on one end, and for kids who love the feedback, reward, recognition mechanism of teaching with a live interaction, we do that very well, right? So I think the edtech model overall, I think over the world will split into asynchronous and synchronous, and now with Baiju and WhiteHat Jr. coming together, I think we are able to leverage the synchronous advantage of WhiteHat Jr. along with the asynchronous advantage of Baiju, but very, very distinct swim lanes. So no confusion at all. Actually, a lot of collaboration and assistance. And again, Baiju himself obviously has been an educator for life. So he has a very clear vision on how these things exist, which I fully comply with,
Since the Baiju acquisition, I'm guessing a lot of time was taken up because of the whole controversy regarding the advertising campaign, perhaps some court cases as well. But when you look back at all of that, would you have done anything differently? Maybe you would have tried to be more involved, perhaps, if you could do things in a different way. Shed some light on that for us.
Yeah, so I would say more than my involvement, which sounds like my involvement would have fixed everything. I think I would say the whole entrepreneurial journey is always looking back and saying, how could I have done things differently, right? So you do that reflection almost every day, right? I think every entrepreneur is thinking that, look, it's a would have, could have, should have, I would have done it, I could have done it, I should have done it kind of a journey. So in that context, I would say, yes, definitely. I feel like we prioritized setting systems in teacher scaling, teacher quality, curriculum development, the class experience, the act of running a live operation. Right now, we have 50,000 live classes happening in a given day. And the tech support option around that, so that every time somebody's laptop is down, you fix it. We prioritize a lot on that experience. And I definitely wish I would have set up systems for marketing reviews thoroughly before that. So I think more than my involvement, I wish we had set the same robust systems for product and teacher quality all across the company. So yes, definitely.
And a message to all those who may have had issues with your advertisements or the claims that will happen and this will happen, all of those. What would you like to say to them? Are you more involved now?
I think very robust systems have been set in place for a few months now, even before all of the controversies came using some of the old advertising. I would say for a few months now, I would say we've set up I came from Procter & Gamble, and and discovery, right? And I think the same kind of systems I've replicated now, where every piece of creative, even as like a creative that could have been done by a intern before and just put it on air on digital, because social media was not monitored closely. Now every piece of creative is going through very robust legal reviews, internal and external, and fully vetted for compliance before they're aired. So definitely, I think for a few months now, I think we have been in a position where the legal reviews on everything and the compliance reviews are very robust across the organization.
Okay. Going forward, if you could give us some details about math and other curriculum which could be under Byju's, as the world's most valuable edtech company, what can we expect from WhiteHat Jr. in 2021?
2021, I think 3 areas of focus. We will launch new curriculums under the same theme of kids being wildly creative in what they do. So we are going to launch maths and new products beyond coding. The second thing is that only an Indian company could have fully cracked this model of a live teacher, one-on-one teacher with one student because of as I said, the unique demographic advantage of India. So we are going to take that to countries all over the world. So we are already present in the US, and we are planning to expand in UK and South America now. And again, the unique advantage is that for us, in a way, a stated mission is that in the next 3 years, we should be able to create 100,000 teaching jobs in India and bring back the golden age of the teaching profession, right? So what I think makes us very happy is that teachers now, because they're teaching kids from all over the world, are able to make the same amount of salary that a first-time IIT or IIM graduate is able to make, right? And I think that is very powerful, because a lot of people or women will now choose the teaching profession as it's delivered online. We'll get the best talent there, and we'll be able to kind of teach kids from all over the world in a very high-quality way. So I would say global expansion with the teacher at the center of that exercise is the second priority. And third is the model that you referred to earlier, which is the offline-online model, where WhiteHat Jr. is going to become available in more and more schools in the country as more and more schools adopt coding. And they obviously come to us because we kind of were responsible for initiating this category. So these 3 things you can expect: more curriculum in other subjects, horizontal expansion in the world, and being able to kind of go in India in a physical format as well.
And how exactly did you come up with the idea of coding? You've been praised as much as you've been criticized for coding, and talking about how it's the next language for the kids. Tell us, how many kids do you have on the platform? And first of all, how did all of this happen?
Right now on the platform, more than 1 million kids around the world have taken a free live trial class, if you will. About 150,000 students are actually paying students on the platform who take more than 2 classes a week on the platform and do projects and stuff after class. So quite, and about 70% of them are in India and 30% are outside India. And the teachers are loved across the world, as I would say, right? Like as I said, we do about 40,000 live classes a day right now. And the ratings of the class are so uniformly positive across students, like as diverse as countries like obviously the US, but Africa, like we have a lot of students from Europe. So like, again, I would say the strength of this is the teachers, the power of this wonderful workforce in India, which was like previously untapped. How did I come up with the idea? I think for every entrepreneur, all of these things are very personal, right? Nobody starts a company with the assumption that it's going to be supremely successful. And especially, I was the discovery head of India before. So you don't start a company because of financial reasons. I think I was very motivated by 2 different things. I thought that I'd read a lot of research on how kids who do coding early, the biggest difference that happens to them is that they start to think of life as a playground of building and experimentation, because they're able to put things together, see an outcome emerge. And I personally really resonated with that idea, because I was also pretty straight-laced in my professional life. And then I started to write my own novels, and I started to realize that the creator's life is very profound, very experimentative. So when I had my own kids, I always thought that they should build and create early. So coding really spoke to me. And that's why the idea of coding came. And then this whole live classroom, because coding existed in the world before, but the whole innovation was the live one-on-one teaching, I think was very inspired by, again, my own mom. She was an army officer's wife, very qualified lady, could never really carve out her own career because she kept following my dad around from Leh Ladakh to Sri Lanka, then to Kashmir. So she kept going to the east, to places with him. So it was struggling to form her own career. So I always thought, like, there's this very qualified base of women in India who could be leveraged as teachers, and then the code. So coding spoke to me as a father. In my background, I could understand the power of a live teacher, and I think that combined together into this form, which I think has been very powerful. I think it's been powerful because kids have embraced it, right? I think the success of WhiteHat Jr. was that kids told other kids more than anything else, and I think that's how the platform grew so virally so quickly.
And how difficult was it to take the call that you're going to be okay to sell the company and fold up under Byju? Did they approach you, or was it the other way around?
It started so I think the acquisition completed on August 3rd, right? So I would say probably the first outreach from Byju was on June 15th over a WhatsApp message. It was like as basic as that. He said, look, I'm Byju and would love to talk about how you built a new category so quickly and stuff. So we connected for the first time, I would say almost 6 weeks before the acquisition. Before that, I had never met him and vice versa. And then over a period of 6 weeks, I think I think that the connection was very strong right at the beginning, because I just felt that there were very few people in India who I'd felt had the same very boundaryless view of the world, right? He always believed that the world is very boundaryless, and an Indian edtech company can completely go global with the right set of with the right product. So I think he had a very boundaryless vision of the world that really spoke to me. I had the same thought. And then his expertise in education. So for me, it was a somewhat easy choice. I was about to raise a new round of funding, and there would be 3-4 more investors who would come on board, and I would have a board of 5 or 6 very strong people, or I could have a board of 1 and accomplish pretty much the same things, right? So it felt like it would be the best choice. So it was actually a very easy decision to make.
And did life change dramatically for you post the acquisition by Byju personally, and for WhiteHat Jr. as well?
I would say the biggest change, which I think is very obvious, is the amount of attention on the brand, right? So we were I think we were growing just on organic and word of mouth and people telling other people, and we've grown very significantly there. I think post the Byju's acquisition, there was I would say tremendous tremendous limelight on the brand, and every so I think that has been the biggest change. Other than that, I think from a working relationship perspective, I would say it's a truly wonderful relationship, because as Byju says very rightly, it's 0% interference, 100% support in a way. So they don't interfere with the working at all, but they are very supportive, right? So when we were launching the maths curriculum, I think the launch kind of got accelerated a few months because we were able to leverage Byju's very strong team on maths for the live one-on-one maths curriculum for WhiteHat Jr. So in every other form, I would say the support has been very good. The working relationship is very, very powerful. And I think we are learning to deal with the scrutiny, that comes with a very a large acquisition and the large limelight on the brand.
So Karan, what's the biggest target that you have set for WhiteHat Jr. for the new year?
Single biggest target I would say we've set for WhiteHat Jr. is to truly create a sophisticated world-class global brand from India, right? And I think that requires a lot of a lot of fundamental strengthening, right? So I think we were good at consumer experience, product quality. I think it's meant hiring the right team in order to be able to create a stable, strong structure for what a long-term iconic global company can be, right? So I would say in a very single way, my biggest focus is how do we really create this very sophisticated global brand, and not not just keep going down a very fast acting startup way, but start to think as much balance the pace with the robustness of a long-term global brand, right? I think that would be my single biggest focus for 2021.
We keep hearing about multiple IPOs that are coming out in this new year. Any such plans that you have at your end?
Yeah, so we turned cash flow positive very early this year, right? So I think just to give you a sense, at the time of the acquisition, we had raised $11 million in capital, and there was $14 million in the bank. So we had turned actually cash flow positive early. We had consumed no capital at all in the growth. Now the capital is being spent mainly in creating new products and new markets, right? The core product and market model is cash flow positive, right? So I think so IPO, I would say the Bajaj master brand or the Bajaj family will have their IPO plans, and we'll obviously support them by creating a strong business for them within WhiteHat Jr.
Now, there's also criticism coming into edtech companies that nobody is going for the affordable or lower price point. Is that something that you could be considering eventually? Would you ever look at a more affordable or a lower price point?
Yes. So actually, in that way, we are somewhat fortunate, right? That because of the live teacher, language is not a barrier for us at all. Because it's not pre-recorded, there is pre-recorded content, but then there is a live teacher who's actually delivering live content, right? And that teacher can deliver that content in any language. So we connect the Tamil student to a Tamil teacher through our tech algorithms, right? So as a result of that, the ability to reach deep is very good in a live model, and that's what we have as a strength. From making the pricing more attractive, again, we've taken a lot of steps. So instead of one teacher and one student, we've also tested out one teacher, two students, one teacher, six students at the maximum. Beyond that, we can't go because the whole model is about building and creation and not about instruction. But we've made the price point very affordable through like going lower in terms of price points by increasing the size of the class. In addition, there is attempts at doing the product on mobile so that the infra becomes more accessible. And we've already been able to pull off a mobile trial class. So I think the intent is very strong to go very deep, and we are trying to attract that by reducing prices in the B2C model, and then also partnering with schools in areas where we know that direct to consumer models will struggle because of infrastructure, right?
Thanks, Karan, for joining us and talking to us about a host of developments associated with WhiteHat Jr. Definitely, EdTech has been the biggest hit in 2020 thanks to the pandemic-led lockdown, and looks like it's a sector, a trend that's definitely here to stay. On that note, slipping into a break here, more updates on the other side. Stay tuned.